We are discussing about FCRA, the next step ahead in commodity derivatives market. Till time, we of course have discussed about how the futures market can take a new shape after FCRA comes in. Now let's discuss about how much of participation can this market bring. So Mr. Ramaseshan, what does the market really think right now? Is it about more credibility? As we were talking about, as Mr. Sabnavis was making a point, other regulators also perhaps are waiting and watching. So does FCRA bring on table that credibility into the markets that yes, there is a law that has been passed and more people can now join in?
There are two aspects to this. One is pertaining exclusively to the commodities, futures and derivatives market. The second one is the residuary market, if I can use that word. The first aspect, yes, a lot of credibility will get attached to the markets, number one. Let's remember one thing, the international community is watching us. So by passing of this legislation, the international community will get a signal that yes, India is not rolling back on reforms, India is marching ahead, though slowly, that's important. So from that point of view, these markets, the derivatives market will certainly get an edge. But as I call the other residuary markets, Mr. Sabrawal also made that point, the spot exchange. Spot exchange is one aspect of it. The residuary market, namely connecting up to the local mandi, there is a bit of a regulatory uncertainty, a vacuum. So the government of India will have to sit with the state governments to address that issue. This bill, this act is not going to address those issues. There are certain issues which will have to be specifically addressed. Some regulators will have to sit together. We have to reinvent regulation in certain areas so that the markets become encompassing right from the mandi level to the processor level everywhere.
Mr. Sabnavis, there always is this debate about whether these markets are a hedgers market or whether delivery should be made compulsory or not, or whether the investors and the money makers have an equal part into this. How do you read, how would you want to rationalize that?
In fact, if we're looking at the market, just like any particular market, we need to have all kinds of players. So it's not a case of saying that I just want to have speculators or only hedgers who should be participating, because if I'm only going to have hedgers in the market, then I don't think there'll be any liquidity, because if only people are actually dealing with the commodity come in, then I don't think there will be enough liquidity. So therefore, I need to have the speculators and I need to have the investors who really add depth to the market.
Mr. Thomas, what according to you with the FCRA amendment bill really mean for the Indian commodity derivative markets?
So the entire system should become transparent. See, I am coming of state Kerala, where we produce mainly spices and rubber. But very often the farmers are not getting the price they are entitled to get. So now in Kerala, this future trade has started, small exchanges have started, and there is a participation of the farmers in the form of a cooperative movement. I think farmers should be more involved in this process.
Mr. Sabrawal, coming to you on to that point really, and how would you look at the participation as of now from the traders? Is it more about hedging themselves or is it more about money making ideas? What kind of people do you talk to?
It is actually a mixture of both of these things as on today. But yes, with the introduction of the options, the introduction of the new products and the more number of participants coming to the market, as Mr. Ramaseshan very rightly said, that the confidence level of all the stakeholders will certainly increase, and that too with when regulators will have much more power.
Mr. Abhishek, what according to you are the priority areas in the bill that need immediate attention, that would be number one on your list there?
See, the bill includes a number of provisions such as strengthening the Forward Markets Commission, providing for a set of derivative products which are not allowed at the moment, and enacting a number of regulations. We will certainly like to see if it is approved, then a strengthening of the regulator is definitely the priority. So I think if subject to amendment of the FCRA, that would definitely take priority over everything else.
Mr. Sabnavis, how would you look at the ministry's role then? Because as of now, much of what FMC says does come in from the Ministry of Consumer Affairs. Once that, would you see the FCRA bill coming out in phases? Would there be a priority? Would there be a line that they would follow there?
No, I think it's an interesting question because today if you see the FMC is actually seen as a weak regulator. When I say a weak regulator, it's essentially a regulator who's not quite sure of what it's doing because very often there's pressure being put from outside to do certain things which the FMC probably doesn't feel is the right thing to do.
It's more political than financial?
It's more political than financial. So today when we're talking of, and this doesn't hold for the Reserve Bank of India or for, we have seen the RBI, the way in which the RBI has been dealing with the Ministry of Finance, or we've seen the way in which SEBI has behaved. But the same thing doesn't really hold for the FMC, primarily because today it's an arm of the Ministry of Consumer Affairs. So I should tend to think that once the FMC is given the freedom, I think that's the right message which will be spread, which will be sent out, that FMC is an independent body and could actually take decisions the way in which it feels it could be doing it.
The FCRA really has seen a lot of wait and watch. Earlier it was the political parties which were against it, and then you had the essential commodity prices rising, which also were again blamed on the futures markets. How do you think FCRA would change all of that?
See, once they get the teeth and power, they can go ahead on giving more strength to the future trade. And already we have constituted an advisory committee, and these members of the advisory committee are from various stakeholders, including the powerful media. So this FMC's activities will be advised by this FMC, this advisory committee. So I think it will be more democratic, the future functioning, even though it gets more strength and powers. There is a democratic element as we have constituted an advisory committee.
Mr. Sabharwal, you have been pointing out at options and how that would really increase the participation coming in from the markets. There also is a talk about indexes being launched and many commodities which need not be deliverable as well. Do you think market is mature enough in commodities especially to go on and trade those kind of things?
Certainly yes. Most of the participants are trading in the stocks options, and as you are aware of that, the stocks option volumes are far higher than the stock futures volume. So Indian markets have become matured already. People have started working on it. The large trading firms, with an expectation that the parliament will be clearing it, have already started educating their sub-brokers or their franchisees, and with all those in views, and even FMC is planning to hold lot of education initiatives with the exchanges, as well as we have requested them that they can hold these seminars along with our association, Commodity Participants Association of India. With all these things put together combinedly, we are hopeful that slowly not only the smaller investor from the farmer level to, as Mr. Ramaseshan was telling, that mandi level also, it has to be increased awareness at all those levels will certainly increase the volumes, participation and the confidence in these markets.
Mr. Abhishek, as the other experts also are talking about that the markets are ripe, but do you think they really are in sense of maturity, in sense of infrastructure and participation as well, if FCRA bill does get all of that we're talking about?
I think the markets are definitely more mature than they have been earlier, and I think putting in place a stronger regulatory regime is necessary to inspire confidence among a number of stakeholders. So once that happens, I think definitely the market would be ready for many new developments.